Hey guys, I'm starting a new painting. This is gonna be a floral painting, like a bouquet kind of thing. But you can't really tell from the sketch. But I'm going for very dramatic, sort of like Baroque lighting. I love that lighting, and it's based off a picture I took that I'll put somewhere over here. And I love that picture, and I just want to make it into a painting. I'm gonna get started by painting the background. So all the big chunks of black that I need to get done. I'm not gonna fully like paint it like black. I'm just gonna do like a light wash first. That way I can black out all of the areas that are supposed to be black. I'm saying that color a lot. Anyways, I think I'll be using this really old paint. But somebody gave it to me and I would like to use it before it dries out. Actually, I think it might be a little dry. But I'm going to start by doing that first. That way, once I actually get into painting the colors of the flowers, I can actually tell how light to make it. Because painting on a white canvas is very deceiving sometimes. Like, you might think you're going dark enough, or you might think you're going light enough, but you really aren't. So yeah, that's first plan, or first step. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is how it's looking so far. I know, it looks a little crazy. Um, so I was doing the just black, and then I wanted to add like another color because when you add another color to black, it just gives it more depth. So I decided to add some blue, because a lot of the flowers are going to be sort of like an orangey, yellow, almost pinkish kind of color. So I wanted to make sure that the undertone for the black would work well. So I decided to do blue. I just did like a quick sort of like wash kind of thing. Um, I didn't really film most of it. Sorry. But it's very basic, very straightforward. Just watered down a bunch of acrylic and paint. So now I can see a lot more clearly the areas that are going to be black and then the areas that are going to be colorful and like bright. Um, as you can see, it's gonna be a lot of dark. But there's also gonna be a lot of highlights. Which is what I'm gonna start blocking out next. Is just some of the values, um, for the flowers. I think what I'm gonna do is just make a like a pink or like a peachy kind of color, and then use that to sort of do all the values. I'm not really gonna make different colors, even though this is supposed to be more of a purple. It's just to sort of block out the colors first. When I'm painting, I usually don't do that actually. Like for the painting of my dog, I usually just go in with the flat color. But because I'm going for a more like realistic approach, I want to make sure that I have like the values set in first before I go crazy with the color. Okay, so I decided I'm not gonna mix any colors. I'm just gonna use these like small little tube paints. So just the red one to block out the values for the flowers, roses, and then the green, because there are some areas here that are supposed to be leaves, but I feel like I will not be able to tell unless they're green, and I might accidentally paint them a different color. And then there are some green spots that I want to have in the vase. This is a vase, if you guys can tell. So there are some green spots that I want to have there. So I just want to make sure I have that set so I don't forget. Okay, so it's late. I'm tired. This is as much as I'm doing today. I started doing mainly the roses. I didn't really get to do the little leaves and stems, but it's fine now that I know where the roses are, and then I can tell where the leaves and stems are. And then I did miss some empty black spaces, so that's what I did there. Mainly here, here, and here. And now that I've done this much, I think I might not do it in paint. I think the background, obviously, I will just because it's so much of it. But I think the flowers I might do in color pencil. I do have some Prismacolors. Um, I don't know how I feel about that quite yet, so I'm gonna sleep on it. Um, Let me show you guys a reference. So this is the picture that I took. As you can see, very pretty, very dramatic lighting. But there's like a really nice like softness to it. And I just don't think I could get that same look with acrylic. It's more of a me thing than an acrylic thing. I'm sure if I spent enough time, I could do it with acrylic. But I think I'd much rather do it with color pencil. So we shall see. I'm gonna think about it though. I think tomorrow I'm gonna finish blocking out the black. Just because I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the roses yet, and I feel like that will buy me some time. But yeah, also I'm not filming most of my progress with this one, just because it is a little bit more on the complicated side than I'm used to, and I'd rather concentrate on the actual painting instead of being worried whether or not like my head is in the shot, or is it a good shot, is it not, like. So for day 2, like I said before, I focused on making the background darker. I did this for a couple reasons. One, to put off deciding on what I wanted to do with the roses, and also having a darker background eventually would make it easier to sort of gauge how dark or how light everything needed to be. For the same kind of reason, painters will often start with a neutral background. So by the end of the second day, I had darkened up the background quite a bit, as you can see. And on the third day, I went about adding color pencil. So at this point, I had decided that I was gonna actually use paint. However, what I realized in a few minutes of experimenting that unfortunately I don't have a clip of is that I could use water to sort of create a wash with the color pencil, specifically the Prismacolors. So this helped me just sort of like build up the undertones, or help me sort of like layer or add dimension to already existing colors. At this point, using color pencils was more so to build up color, to build up undertones, but in later parts I did use it to sort of give it a little bit more dimension in some areas. So day 4, I finally started adding some acrylic. In this part here, it's actually kind of hard to tell, but the red I'm using is a transparent acrylic paint. So this flower, I wanted it more of a like burgundy kind of red, which is why I put purple colors underneath it, so it can kind of show through the red quite a bit. So as I was mentioning before, this day is where I kind of went in and created that wash with the color pencil. So right here, there is no paint on my paintbrush, it is just water. And I'm just spreading and sort of creating an even layer of a wash of a color of the color pencil that I had laid down there the day before. As you can see, it's not an opaque sort of level of paint that's created with that color pencil, but it's enough to add a bit more dimension, a bit more color to the existing painting. So day 5 was rather short. Similarly to the flowers, I used color pencils. However, this was more to make it a little bit easier for me once I went and added paint onto the vase. This was going to be my first time sort of painting a glass-like structure, and I mostly just wanted to add color pencils to sort of help me distinguish what colors were supposed to go where, so it didn't feel as overwhelming once I got to actually painting.